Good evening, everyone. It's Deb Rock Evans from Rock the Boat, and we're tuning in. If you're tuning in live tonight, please comment and let us know that you're here live. Tonight, I'm going to be chatting with the lovely Kat Coluccio, who I have actually known. We were chatting just before. We've probably known each other about 10 years, but we've never actually met in person. So this is what online life can be like, right? But we met through a mutual friend, Natalie Cutler Welsh, and have so moved in the same circles for about a decade. And so we've both heard a lot about each other and sort of, kept up with what each other are doing, but haven't actually met in person yet. Anyway, the topic of today's live is about communities, Facebook communities. Now, I am Xander and I are taking our students, our Thrive students, through a 6-month journey of building their online ventures. And one of the tools or methods that we definitely recommend is building communities. And it's a methodology to help you find leads and create a bit of a marketplace of your own, whereby you're nurturing people. They're beginning to know, like, and trust you, and they go from being effectively cold leads into warm leads, and they become your people. It's your people. And so Kat's been doing that amazingly for years. She's had several Facebook groups, and I thought she'd be a perfect person to bring in because she's been doing it a long time, so she understands Facebook. It's been an integral tool to her in building her business. So Kat's done a whole range of things, but let's just say for now she is an author. She's also a reinvention coach, and she's the host of the Rocking Midlife podcast and community. So she's a big champion of midlife women, and that would be her main. They're her people. So I'll bring her in now. Kat, lovely to have you with us. Thanks for joining us.
It's so nice to be here. Thanks, Deb. Thank you so much for allowing me the privilege of being here and speaking to all of your wonderful people. So hi, everybody out there. It's lovely to see you all virtually.
Yes, virtually. Exactly. Thank you so much. No, it's really great. And we were just discussing that you've been sort of laying a little bit low lately with life, and you're catching up on. Tell us about what you're doing. You're writing some books right now.
Yes. Over the last, all of us sort of went a little bit inward, didn't we, during a certain period of time, just over the last few years. And me being an introvert by nature, just a little, yeah. Me being an introvert by nature, on one side was like, oh, fantastic, I don't have to go out to things. But the other side was, oh, dang, the family are all now home in my space, which I found really, really challenging. So since then, we actually ended up selling our house and moving and being busy. So I've just been busy with family, reestablishing, but at the same time, writing and publishing and launching a few little pen names and just trying a few things quietly while keeping my community, my main community going, because to me, that's the heart of it all.
So you must really enjoy writing. Oh, but you've also been a speaker.
Yeah. They kind of go hand in hand. So I tend to write about what I talk about, what I know. So, yeah.
Would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh, I'm definitely an introvert. I used to be a professional musician, believe it or not, back in the day. But as I've said in my books, you'll find that so many performers are actually introverts because we're task orientated. I can walk on a stage in front of thousands, play my instrument, not a problem. But if you want me to go down in that mosh pit and make small talk or anything, I'm out of there. I'm just gone.
I can relate, actually. I really can relate. I'm a singer, and so I feel perfectly at ease on stage. But when it comes to we're going to go deep or not at all.
Exactly. Well, that explains why we both went deep, didn't we? It's like, oh, hi, nice to see you.
Straight into it. Yeah, exactly. None of this. No, well, no.
Yeah.
So look, Kat, I've brought you on because, as I mentioned, Nat Cutler Welsh recommended you when I was reaching out to some of my contacts, saying, look, who does communities really well, because I want to bring in someone who knows what they're doing and have been doing it for it. Kat Coluccio, hands down, but So, and I was like, oh
That's
yes,
gorgeous.
she did that whole rocking midlife thing. I remember that. Now, I wasn't actually an active. I wasn't I am a member of the group, but I haven't been an active member.
Are you? I didn't even realize. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure I joined it to see what was this lady doing. A long time ago. But so can you tell us a bit about your experience with building communities?
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So I'll give you a little bit of my backstory. So as Deb mentioned, my main community, my flagship community, which is still going, is called Rocking Midlife. But that's not initially what I started with. So I was your classic mother who hit her early 40s, realized, oh my gosh, my kids aren't going to need me much longer, particularly as I was homeschooling them both due to their sports and they were traveling the world. So when my youngest was coming up, like ready to go to university and do whatever, like I had this horrendous epiphany of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Because she wasn't going to need her mama to drive her to university. So I really had to go work out what I wanted to be in this next season of life. So I ended up retraining. I used to be a musician and originally a high school teacher as well. And so I thought, well, I don't want to go back into a classroom because my whole philosophy had changed after homeschooling. And so I thought, no, I'll do something where I can, get out there and be healthy. So I retrained to be a personal trainer. So long story short, I got out there and then you find yourself in a whopping big gym. And I was literally in one of South Auckland's biggest bodybuilding gyms, this big old school place full of people. And it's when you're at college, when you're doing your studies, they say, well, then you just go out and get clients. Well, how do you do that? Do you go tap someone on the shoulder when they're in the middle of doing their reps, So I had to learn immediately, like, A, how do I get clients to start off with? And then B, how do I retain them? And how do I make them want to stay with me, a new trainer, when there's other trainers here circling the pond as well, like sharks in the water sort of thing. So I did two things, which I think are really good ideas, well, they're not like rocket science, but these are two things that work for me, which I think would work for a number of your folks here watching on. And first of all is I managed to beg one or two people to train with me for free. And it just got me started. It was getting that social proof that I could actually do it. And it built confidence in me as much as, showing other people that I could train people. And they're still friends today. It was a lovely Samoan girl and a lovely big Tongan guy who was a big Taekwondo guy. And they were wonderful, so incredible, and allowed me the privilege of, pushing them around and everything. And so that's what got me started. Then I thought, how can I offer more? Like I said, I'm a new trainer. There's trainers out on the floor here, particularly amongst the guys that have been in the whole health and fitness industry for 20 years. I'm a mum who'd been driving her kids to training all these years, but hadn't actually set foot in a gym hardly herself, except for when I did my training. So I was really starting from scratch. This was total reinvention here, Deb. So I thought, okay, I want to be able to give more. And one of my core values is service. And I thought, how can I serve these people more than just a 30-minute PT session with me a week? I thought, I'm going to start a group. So I did. Facebook was still sort of relatively new. Groups were kind of just kicking in. So I started a group. It's funny with your rock thing, because mine was Rocking Wellness at the time, and Rocking Wellbeing, and Rock Your Body. And I had rock everything, but mine was from being a musician. So that was the rock thing for me. Yeah. So that's how I started. So I started a group and I started just giving value. So in that group, I'd post articles that I might have read, or here's a top tip, are you drinking your water? Are you getting enough sleep? Did you know that muscle resistance workouts the best thing you can do? Just those types of little bit of extra information and little tips on, hey, let's aim for this or let's do that. And it was just a way of just giving more and serving more. And as that continued, and it wasn't an overnight thing, but as I kept turning up and doing that, I noticed 3 things started to happen. One was I was retaining more clients. So as more to me, I was retaining them. They weren't just coming, doing a couple of sessions and then going and trying the next guy. The second one was it helped me nurture new leads, because I then thought, look, I'll open this group because there's going to be people here who can't necessarily come out to South Auckland to train with me, but they could still get the benefit of training tips and just being part of a community talking about being healthy. So I allowed people to invite their friends in, and then they were nurtured and became warm leads for me. And I ended up branching into online training with a number of them, and a lot of them did end up making the trek then to come out and do certain classes with me. And the third one was, as that snowballed, it allowed new people to come into my circle, because those people then invited their friends and so on, because they felt safe and secure. Something's just died. Is my camera still working? Because that's
it is. You there was a bit of a pause there for a minute, but no, we can still see you.
Oh, cool. So that's where it started, Deb. That's where it started, wanting to give more to give more to my clients.
And so how big did that group grow, and how many of those clients sort of became, did you end up, developing an online personal training course or something like that?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
Brilliant.
What I did was I did personalized training. So I didn't do a formal course, but I did personalized training and programs and so forth. And I did that for a number of years. I ended up working out of that gym for about 7 years. So during that time, I had my online thing. I ended up having to ditch the one-on-one clients because it got so busy that I changed everything to group training. And I had loyal clients still at the end. Like that first girl that I had trained, she was still with me at the very end. In fact, the guy was too, now I think about it. So it was the retention of those people that really meant a lot to me as a new person starting out who wasn't a fit, raring 20-year-old. It showed that a woman in her mid-40s could actually go do this by working a bit smarter and serving in a way that perhaps the younger ones weren't doing.
And so is that how you then is that when you started refining your, actually my audience is, my market is midlife women?
Yes,
and they've
exactly.
got a unique set of issues around their weight management, their fitness and their hormones and their energy and everything. Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly what happened.
Okay, great. So then what happened next? You started the podcast or something, or what happened next?
Okay. Well, I realized exactly what you said, that the bulk of the clients, I was still training a couple of men and a few different younger ones, but I realized more and more that the bulk of the people coming to me for training were women like myself, probably maybe 2 years younger, who are all facing the same thing. Oh my gosh, I'm coming up to empty nest. What am I going to do? Because when you train someone in a gym, and anyone who's had a personal trainer would know, the trainer's generally going, 1, 2, 3. And in between those reps, I'm going, how's your marriage? How's your family this week? How are your kids? And it's that. This is why I went on then and did life coaching as well, because it was wanting to serve the whole person, not just show them how to do a chest press. So so coming up to the end of that 7 years, I actually lived with the chronic pain syndrome myself. And it got to the point where it was unbearable. I couldn't physically work in the gym anymore. And that's why I was so grateful that I'd already built something online. So we went from there. And I should add too, and this is something too for you folks listening in, instead of just doing that one group, I also use groups for short-term things too. So what I was saying to Deb earlier is, if the thought of starting a group worries you, thinking I'm going to be shackled to this thing for the next 2 years, you can also use them for short-term things. So what I'd do is I'd ran 12-week challenges, which were all the same thing at the time. So I'd often do a pop-up group for that, 12-week spring challenge, where we just posted every day about that in the group. They're done more often these days, but back in the day they weren't so much. So I had about 20 different groups over the years of challenges, short-term things. Maybe it was just a 3-day, 5-day event I was doing, or a 6-month thing. like what you're doing with your Thrive course, or in the case of my Rocking Midlife, which is the one that's continued, I ended up funneling most of them into this larger group and continuing with that. And this one's been my baby for a number of years. Although I've still got the midlife writing community sitting out there on the edge, which I've just handed over to someone who's a writer and a publisher to take that on and breathe some new life into it. And I've still got your midlife side hustle sitting over in another group. So I think I need to give those people your name, Deb, and you can take them from there.
Yes, that'd be great. Or come bring me in for an interview in there.
Yeah. Actually, I'll talk to you about that, because I've got one here, actually, because I wrote this book. This was one of my books, Your Midlife Side Hustle. And so I started a group from that. But, life happens.
And it's not even a midlife thing anymore. I mean, I think, the whole COVID thing has brought that up for a lot of people, right? Like, wow, things are tenuous. I need a side hustle. I need something on the side because I don't feel secure in my job. And it's not just the COVID. There's also the whole onset of AI. Look at what's happening in media right now. I mean, how many reporters do we have in the country, and how many of them are now all of a sudden unemployed? And it's just nothing's certain anymore, is it?
It's absolutely true. And rather than being scared and worried, the best thing we can do is just keep being proactive. That's one thing I used to say to my kids, particularly, because once you homeschool, as you would know, and lots of people would know, you're already thinking out of the box. You're thinking out of the system a bit. There's always options, but you've got to be moving and you've got to be out there looking. If you sit and retreat and freak about AI and things like that, you are going to get steamrolled. But if you can be prepared to learn and be open and sort of work your way through it. I mean, oh gosh, I've bought way too much AI software at the moment. I've been playing with it for 2 years. Yeah.
I actually don't, I'm a bit, I'm not anti-AI necessarily. It's a massive topic, and we should leave that for another time. But I'm a little bit miffed about the fact that we're having to pay for it. If it's something that I believe was started up for, humanity and is actually, relatively open source, that it's being a bit coveted, and again by the same big players that have making money all along.
There's lots of different ones out now, though. There's lots of different ones that are.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. I look for the special lifetime deals, and that's something for you folks to remember too, guys. Look out for Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals if you ever want to pick up software really cheap, and that's when you get your lifetime deals and you're not paying subscriptions for everything. So
yes, very good.
Little tip from the trenches there from someone who's paid way too much over the years trying to work things out.
Yeah, exactly, and we do, don't we? Hey, so look. Your community, you mentioned before we came on live, that's about 7,000 strong, is it?
Yes.
That's pretty decent, Kat. That's pretty decent.
Yeah.
So in terms of the engagement in that group, like how close are the people in that group? How many of them are actively engaging? And, how would you describe your community?
Okay, well, this is where so many good questions there. This is where groups. No, it's all good. It's all good. And cut me off. I'll get all excited and keep rambling away. So just say stop, breathe if you want to interject there. My group's an interesting one. I mean, there's so many way bigger groups, and that's fine. I never was pursuing numbers. This was initially, remember, to serve clients, and then it kind of just kept growing from there. And my group's also quite different to a lot of other groups based in New Zealand in that it's very much an international group. So there's a lot of Kiwi ladies in there, but there's a heck of a lot of South African ladies in there, and I think the main group are actually American ladies. So it's an interesting mix. It means you're doing the different time zones, and so I'm always testing out things too. I'll schedule the odd thing at like 2 a.m. just to gauge if there's more engagement at that time, things like that. And you soon find out too what days work and what don't. Obviously, if I'm posting on a Monday, Kiwi people are like, yeah, Monday, but there's this, crickets happening because everyone else is still on a Sunday for them. So you just learn to, treat your group according to the mix that you've got in there. Engagement's an interesting one. you'll find that a lot of groups start off with a whopping big flurry. There's a whole lot of excitement. We're doing this. This is so cool, particularly if it's, say, someone who's quite a well-known marketer who's brought out a new program. Let's say someone like Amy Porterfield, who's all over internet with her emailing lists and stuff. If they bring out a new program, you'll find that there's a big flurry of people into that. And that's because they're advertising those groups. And often it's because they're running a challenge or something to re-engage those groups, which is a really good idea if your group has a business focus to it. In a group that doesn't necessarily have business as a primary focus, such as my Rocking Midlife group, although I'm gradually bringing my books in there more and more and more in their faces, less sort of sitting out here. Engagement's an interesting one, but you know what? At the end of the day, it comes down to consistency and just keep turning up and then just analysing what's working, what's not. So an example is every Tuesday. So I started in 2016, I think, with this group, and then that's when it rolled out of all the PTing ones I'd been doing, and this one kind of got its name and went from there. And then I just lost track of where I was going with that. Yeah, it started then, and it was just a slow burn because I wasn't necessarily trying to grow a business. It was a community. So it was more about just connection. So at the time I thought, right, at least once a week, I want to make sure that we're having conversations that are really, of importance to the women. So I started every Tuesday. I call it a Tuesday share. It used to be really good because you were able to use hashtag topics in the groups. They've changed that feature now, but it was really cool because you could see how many times you've done it. And I realized I've done like 1,500 Tuesday share posts over the years. I should have screenshotted at the time because I thought, well, there we go. There's consistency there. I've had to come up with a new question every Tuesday, 1,500 times. And so I've just made it simple questions like, we're talking midlife. For all the single ladies, have you found yourself single at midlife? Are you actively looking for a partner? Have you tried looking online? What is something that you would like your married and partnered sisters to know about you as a single woman at midlife? And that's kind of just the standard. I'll always bring it back to question, and what would you want to share to someone else, to another sister in the group who might be struggling or who might not understand what to do. And so I've found that, some of those really resonate. Some of them, particularly like if you talk empty nest or something that a lot of women have really experienced, will be massive. Some is not so much. But I also allow people, now they have the anonymous feature where an anonymous person can ask a question in a group. But I have had people message me over the years where I've asked that on their behalf as the Tuesday share. And so it's been a brilliant way to not only bring connection and community in this group and to go a little bit deeper than just the funnies, because we are a group that likes to laugh. And again, I'll mention that again in a minute, actually, because that's actually something I've found really, really critical. But one of the exciting things I've found about that Tuesday sharing post, and which you'll find with your own groups, is you have sitting there a perfect focus group for your products and your services, for the things that you want to create. So I know from years of posting those and seeing what gels and what doesn't gel is that women are worried about financial security. They're worried about who supports them when they're older. They're worried about menopause, the effects on their body. They're worried about how they've lost their mojo, their spark for life, whether they'll ever get to do the things they had always said they wanted to do. They're worried about the relationships, they're worried about their kids. So I can tell you really, really clearly what the needs are for my demographic and who I am writing for, because I was doing similar to what you're doing. I was doing courses and workshops and this, and now I'm just focusing on my writing and publishing because I'm more hands-on with my family at the moment. So you as a group owner are in an amazing situation because there is your focus group. You can poll them. You can put down a heap of things. What are the things that worry you? Put up a poll and let them add to that poll. That's a great little feature in a group, because then not only are you taking away titles that you can use for potential products, If you want to launch a podcast or you want to write a book, there's your chapters, there's the titles of your episodes. It's all laid out for you. And that group is telling you what they need, which you wouldn't have that if you didn't have some type of community interested in what you're talking about and what you're doing.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. And so because I've often, there is a tried and true methodology, isn't there, around having a free group, which becomes your kind of marketplace, like you say.
Yes.
That's your focus group where you can offer things. So should we all have groups? Should we all have a free group? Like, are we all meant to be doing that? And then the paid group, like let's talk about free and paid communities and the differences between them and the general,
Okay.
flow.
I think I've always seen a Facebook group as the top of my funnel. And because that's where I'm getting all the new people coming in, like I said, when I was PTing and starting my own PT business, and now online. I mean, I've got 50 women sitting there that I haven't even had the headspace to let into the group for the last 5 days. And they have just come through my business page, which again, I'll talk about in a second, because there's these little tips and things that you can use. So my funnel is just it's quietly ticking away regularly. Every day there'll be a trickle. There might be 1 or 2, or there might be 10 or 12, depending on what's gone out over on the page. But once they're in there, I have a better chance of reaching them and connecting with them and nurturing them than I would if they'd just visited my business page, left a like, left a comment, and then gone away again, and that's it. I mean, Deb, you've already probably told everyone that it used to be, 7 touch points before someone would buy off you, but it's meant to be more than that now.
That's like 13
Have you heard
or
that?
something.
It's way more now. So,
Yeah,
you're not going to get that opportunity with a total stranger who visits your Facebook page once or twice in the myriad of the other hundreds of thousands of Facebook pages out there. If they come into your group, you have a far better chance of, and I'm going to use the E word that we talked about earlier, establishing yourself as the expert that they start to see as the person to go to for the particular topic that you talk about in your group.
Yeah.
And that's essentially why a free group can be a really great nurturing pool for getting the leads in there, for you nurturing them. And the idea, though, is that you're not just entertaining them for years and years and years, and I have fallen into that trap in the past, but that you are using that group strategically then to try and get them to go further down the funnel. So I will often have, by the way, have you signed up for the free PDF, 5 tips to make your midlife rock? By the way, I've got this one out. By the way. So there's constant, when they come into the group, there's group rules that, that's one of the first questions they're asked. Would you like to leave? No, I don't even ask would. I've done it in a direct way now that I'm getting a far higher engagement here. Leave your email if you'd like to receive my PDF. So I get a lot of emails on my list from that. And so they're getting it when they come in, they got that option. And then they read the first post. By the way, did you grab my free PDF? There's another thing. And then every week it's just trickling through. Here's the newsletter. Here's this. Here's that. It's not a hard sell, but they're just getting exposed to going further down that funnel. And I'm in that group every day interacting. And I've learned to manage my time with that. But I will be in there. I'll like and I'll comment, and I always do a post. Sometimes I'll schedule a second one later in the day that's just a joke. But it's every day I'm in there, morning and night, because if nothing else too, this is the old high school teacher in me. You got to do your yard duty. You have to make sure that the kids are playing nicely in the paddock there and just sort out any issues. So you have to protect people in that group, because I'll tell you now, every second woman who's trying to come into my group at the moment is a midlife coach of some description. And it's been that way for the last 2 or 3 years. So the beauty of it is now when you let them in, there's a little function that you can hit that actually means whenever they post, it gets held until you check it. And so I have to do that now in a lot of the new ones, because I've learned from experience over the years that you wake up in the morning and some coach has absolutely gone for broke during the night and then been private messaging all your members and causing all sorts of stuff. So you need to be prepared to not only build that group and engage with that group and nurture that group, but you've got to protect that group, because they're actually putting their trust in you in coming into your world, that you're not going to allow them to be spammed or approached by other people.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Do you have a, you know, 2 strikes and you're out type thing? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, because by nature, I'm a nice person. Well, I like to think I'm a nice person. You know, I don't like face-to-face confrontation. I'm learning to harden up. My kids have been telling me to toughen up for years. You think working in a gym in South Auckland, I would have toughened up a bit more, but but hey, no, you do need to learn to, you know, like I said, you are the teacher in the playground. So I make it very clear in the rules that there is no promotion or spam of any kind without admin approval. Now and then people will approach me, and if it's something like a charitable thing or something genuine, I'll say, sure, just put admin approved at the top. Great, no worries. But like I said, every second person out there at the moment is a coach of some description, and they're looking for groups like mine. Sorry, that's a cat that's coming here.
Yeah.
Another cat. They're looking for groups like mine, potentially like yours, where they can get in quickly to try and get people to help them start their own group or their own product or whatever. Because that it is a strategy that's actually taught by a heap of coaches. And it is true. You should be in other groups too.
But it works. Actually, we are starting, we're launching a social experiment. So Xander and I learned these tactics about 3 years ago. Back then we were doing network marketing, and we're not doing that anymore. But you know, that industry,
yes,
that industry really needed it, because it was so icky and spammy, and they didn't have a clue how to sell, and they just spewed at everyone, and
no compliance, no whatever. Yeah.
So we were teaching them the right way. And that is a very legitimate strategy to go. And we were talking about it last night in our training, you know. So the idea is you go into groups, but one of the things we were suggesting is, first of all, you make friends with the admins, and you check how the things go here, and you say, you know, I'm keen to support you, and be genuinely
genuine, give value.
Yeah, give value, and really want to help them succeed and grow their groups, and you can still position yourself as a kind of an expert in someone else's group, as long as you're not stepping on toes and you're not selling that kind of thing. But you can make friends with the people that you're engaging with, and actually, you know, helping and adding value to. So it is a legitimate way to organically grow your friends list, and utilize your profile then as a way to position yourself rather than a page. Because we all know that pages have like 5% or less reach.
Very limited. But the beauty of it is now that you can convert your profile to being a professional profile. So you can get the benefits of a page through your personal page. And that means you can also then have your advertising, your Facebook advertising account then that you can set up, which is the main reason why you want a page.
And is there a charge for that?
No, it's not like being verified. You literally, I can't even remember. I looked at it on my own, and I decided not to, because I already have an established business page. But you can literally make your profile into a page. So it's kind of like this hybrid thing. It still looks like a profile, but like I said, you can have your Meta account, your business account, if you want to run ads. And because that's what's really interesting, because if you're wanting to kickstart a group, so let's face it, groups have been around forever. There's groups everywhere. You want to be able to stand out from the crowd as quickly as you can, really, because if you're a midlifer in particular, and this is something I talk about in all my books, we're not 20-year-olds. We don't have 20 years to organically, slowly grow something. We kind of need to ramp things along a bit, don't we? So, you know, you want to be thinking of
pulling power either anymore.
So you got to be thinking of, okay, what's a few different ways that I can what can I leverage off to get to crank a group into action a little bit quicker? And so I'm just literally speaking off the top of my head here, things that I've done. So definitely, running like a little 3-day free event where you give value, 1 session a day for an hour each day or something like that. Come into the group. I've done that. I did a Mojo, Max Your Mojo. It was a 3-day challenge thing. And then at the end of it, I did a little upsell at the end and then ran a little program off the back of it, sort of similar to what you're doing now, Deb. But yeah, that's how I launched that Maxi Mojo group, which is still sitting there with a few hundred people in it as well. I've got a few groups I think I need you to take over. Yeah. I'm not silly though. I do funnel a lot of them. A lot of them then funneled into Rocking Midlife, my main group. But that kicked that group off really quickly by offering value, by offering, not only will you get this 3 days of an hour's free, whatever with me, on top of it, you're going to get this amazing freebie PDF I've put together all about whatever your business is, about how to cook, how to be self-sufficient in your garden, how to have wonderful skin, how to homeschool your kids, whatever it is that you're speaking about. They can't get those things by just registering. They have to go into the group to get those things in the file. Right. So then you've got them in your group. So even if they're sitting back quietly from that point on, they're still in there. And there's still a chance that you'll be able to engage with them, nurture them, and all those things that we talked about. There's obviously another thing that people are doing at the moment. You might be able to tell me who has taught this, because every woman that comes into my group or other groups now posts a photo that says, "Hello, I'm so-and-so, and I thought I'd post a photo I took." It's that same line.
That's just because when you join the group, Facebook's already asking that question. It suggests a few things that you can do. And the first
I didn't know that because there you go. Because I haven't joined any new groups just recently, and everyone was doing it. I was thinking, is this some guru telling everyone to use this line? Why is he saying
No. God, they'd be really funny.
So that's good to know, because I kept thinking, oh my gosh, why are you all saying the same thing? Like,
So it's like, because I've got up here, we're talking about sort of specific tips and little tricks and stuff to boost engagement and get things going in there. But what you've just raised now is it's the same old problem. Facebook just makes all these random sweeping changes whenever they like, and it's so hard to keep up with, isn't it? I mean, you must have endured many changes over the years, and you mentioned that there used to be topics and now there isn't. So I guess my question would be, what are the relevant functions that you're aware of now that are working in groups?
Okay, hang on, just lose that again. Okay. Yeah, look, you could go crazy trying to stay on top of all the changes in groups, in everything. There's always something new. You can set up all your group chats now so that you can actually have instant contact with people and chat, and a lot of people are doing that. You have, the everyone notification that I was saying to Deb, it's so funny, if ever I use it, which is so rare, I'll always get an angry face and someone leaves the group in a huff because I tagged everyone. Can I just give you a hint? You can actually change your notifications, folks. Okay, you don't have to have a huff. But I thought, no, actually, I'm going to start using that more. And so I did a post earlier this year and I tagged everyone and I turned the comments off, and I wrote, I have served this group faithfully for umpteen years, so I'm just letting you know, folks, and I know that I'll have your support, but I will be sharing a bit more about my books more frequently. Yeah. And I'm letting you know it will not be more than once a week at the very, very most. And all I got was hearts, but I also turned off all the commenting. So, and that's a trick that you can do. So you can do all these little things like that. Turn off your commenting. When someone comes into the group, if you think it's someone who's a little bit, okay, I know they're in the same industry as me. Are they here to poach people or to just spy on what I'm doing? Like I said, you can click on their name next to it and you can actually put them on restricted posting so they can't post without you actually approving it. And you can actually, you've got like 30 days, 45, 60 days, or till you take it off. So I used to just do the 30-day on, but I'm looking at these long biographies of people coming in. I'm thinking, you're only here for clients. So I'm putting 60 days on quite a few of them. And it's interesting because they're not posting. It means nothing to them. They can still post. It just gets held for me to check. But all these coaches coming into my group are not posting. They're watching. They're watching. And it comes back to that, well, honey, you're not coming off until I see that you're genuinely here to interact with the ladies and be part of the community, because my group is very much about community and about supporting one another. And there's ladies in there from around the world. I've got a couple from India and South Africa and all over the place who've been in there for years. So I'll get messages if I don't show up for a day. I'll be getting personal messages. Are you okay, Kat? We haven't seen you. And it's really lovely. It takes it beyond just being people I can pitch my books at. There's a genuine community. Of course, the 80-20 principle. There'll be 20% that are really engaged. The other 80% are out there. But the point is, they're still being nurtured. They're still seeing you. They're still there. But the key thing, like what Deb just said, is Facebook changes all the time. Facebook could disappear tomorrow. It's someone else's platform, which is why the goal is to get them down that funnel and onto your email list. Yes. So get them in that group, but don't let that be the be all and end all. The idea is to get them down onto your list so they're actually become part of your world, and then you're nurturing them in a whole, more upfront way. And they've signed up for that because you've given them something that they value, that they're prepared to hand their email address for. And that's a whole other thing that I'm sure that you'll be teaching, Deb, about email relationships and things like that.
Yeah.
Would you like a couple of practical little tips, just non-techie practical tips?
Sure, yes.
That I've learned over the years? Okay, number one thing that helped grow my group, humor. Having a laugh, not being so serious. So I have oscillated on my business page. If you look at it, I've swung a bit too far over and I'm starting to come back and use stories a bit more showing my face. But on my business page, you'll notice that there's a lot of humor. And I make sure in my feed that I'm following a number of different places that I can grab images from, or I'll share some things that are shared. I don't share to my page because they don't get the visual. I might share the odd one into the group. But I try to grab humorous posts where there's an obvious watermark that's still on there. So I'm not, cutting off someone else's copyright or whatever, or I'm creating my own. If I can see it, it's a domain, public domain type quote. I'll use Canva and I'll batch a whole little thing. But humor, seriously. And if you look at my business page, I'll have like a silly humorous post. I did one the other day about working for yourself. If you see me talking at home to myself, it's because I'm having a staff meeting. Ha ha ha. So I think I wrote the one line, who else relates, or something like that. And I've learned to keep them short, because if you write too much, it cuts off. And I want the link to show. So I'll have the ha-ha type thing, and then I'll have join my fun, supported free group of Rocking Midlife with ladies who want support and laughter, whatever little tag. I've got a few little tags. I keep them on my notes app on the computer, and I just cut and paste which one I'm using at the time. So most of pretty well every post I do on my business page. And like I said, business pages don't get much traction unless you boost a post. So I've started recently just boosting the odd reel because they get a little bit more traction. But for my posts, I'm trying to get them to travel as far as they can. And my experience over all these years has been anything that's funny gets shared.
Yes.
And the other thing that gets shared, is really inspirational. Like a really, really inspirational quote. They're the two things that get shared. So I will always have a call to action. Join my group, or join this or join that. And Facebook pages, now don't tell me where, because again, it's just one of those things I clicked. They have now a feature when you're in it where you can actually invite anyone who's liked your page. You can invite them to your group because your group's linked to it. So Facebook's automatically recommending my group to people as well. So that's what I mean. I still have this group. I've got new people coming into this funnel all the time just because of funny posts that get shared, the odd boosted reel, and just Facebook recommending it because I've clicked all the automate buttons on my business page. So those sort of things, but humor, seriously, humor or really inspirational posts. Women, if your audience is women, they love it. They'll grab it. They'll share it to their friends. So that's why you don't want it to be a share. You want it to be a standalone post that you have posted with your links that tracks back to you, that has your group on it. So make sure that you're ethical with whatever post you're using. But trust me, humor has been how I've basically grown my group over these years.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, random, but it worked. Yeah.
And then, so of the ones, so you said you've got a really good steady trickle into your group still. And then in terms of converting them onto your list and onto how does that look? How does your list compare to your group? Because one thing that we're all very aware of, right, is that Facebook owns Facebook and all of your content, all of the people. So it's not, it's like it's your community, but it's not really yours.
Yeah,
and we really do want to be bringing them into our own platforms, into our own our databases. So how does that convert once they're in the group and you're nurturing them? How many of them roughly have equated, gone onto your list or become
I'm not good
clients?
with hard data, I'm afraid, but this is where everyone needs to learn from my mistakes, because I didn't understand this when I set up my group. So for many years, I was just focused on growing my group. I had my little PT list of clients, but it took me a while to kick into, oh, shoot, I need to be building this list. So I wish I'd started earlier, but now that is my focus. So I see that group as the prime driver for getting people onto my email list. And the beauty of it is, like we said, they're seeing you regularly. They're getting those touch points. And particularly if you've got something valuable that you can give them, which I know Deb will be getting you to create some type of lead magnet, that's going to get them on. But my suggestion will be, don't just have one lead magnet, have a number. Because I have different books. I've got about 4 or 5. No, I've got about 5 or 6 lead magnets out there at the moment rotating around. So I'll use them depending what I'm speaking about at the time or whatever the theme is that we're talking about. And then obviously I've got segments set up in my email system, which again, Deb will tell you about. So I just know where people have come in if I've got something specifically I want to direct their way. But, my group constantly is the funnel.
Yeah.
And if I don't get them with one, I'll get them with the other. So, the people that are worried about finances are all grabbing my ultimate side hustle guide, which has 30 ideas of different online side hustles you could have. Like that lead magnet has been massive. So they'll grab that. Whereas the ones who are all worried about, their mojo and hitting midlife will grab the 5 ticks to make your midlife rock. So, you need a few that are based all around the sphere of what it is that you're doing. It's like having your pillars of content. So, if you are a personal trainer, you probably just don't talk about exercise. You talk about sleep. You talk about recovery. You talk about nutrition. So you could go on to eventually develop a lead magnet for each of those areas, so that whenever you're doing that, you're picking up different people who are interested in that. But your group is a means to an end. The group is not the end. And I think that's, if you think about it like that, you'll see it's an amazing tool that you can use, but it's not the be all and end all. It's just a stepping stone for your business.
Yeah. And speaking about having lots of lead magnets, you were going to make one available, aren't you, down the line for, is it 5 hacks to rock your Facebook group?
5 hacks to rock your Facebook group, which is perfect for Rock the Boat, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
We are so in sync here, I tell you.
It is. Yeah, no, it is. Well, obviously ours, Rock the Boat, I mean, it does have the musical connotations for us as well, for me, but also we live on a boat and it is called Rock. We named it Rock. And of course, our surname is Rock Evans. All these things.
Oh, I know. It's just amazing. This is so cool. So we've got the boat and the farmyard here, because I'm sitting down the back of our property with sheep just outside the windows. You're getting the real New Zealand experience here tonight, folks.
Yeah. And if I wasn't on a boat, I would be in the country as well. So
it's pretty cool.
Just saying. Hey, well, look, while we're on that topic, actually, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that I like to ask all my guests.
Okay.
is it a good thing or a bad thing to rock the boat? And this is when we're talking about in our business, online especially.
Yeah. Okay. It just, there's a yes and there's a
no. Yeah.
There's a yes and no. It's not even a no. There's a yes and there's a be wise with it. Choose when you're going to do that. Because, there's something about being a disruptor which is going to draw people to you. And a lot of the big online industry giants, like Amy Porterfield and Jenna Kutcher, and there's so many of them, they came out and they've done what they've done because they were disruptors to the way that things have been done to that point. And they were really loud. And this is what I'm saying. And so they've built massive followings and massive businesses through disrupting because they were able to see where they could change something and make it better. If it's just for the heck of it, because that's a personal viewpoint you have about something, I would say be a little careful about that, because at the end of the day, you're still serving others with your business. So if your business is about teaching ladies how to crochet so they can make things for charity, whatever, okay, something like that, then you going in there maybe and preaching your political values and whatever, you might feel that you're being authentic, but you've potentially alienated a whole lot of ladies who probably would have loved to have been in there to learn how to crochet to give to charity. And so that's what you've got to weigh up. That's what you've got to weigh up. Now, this is what I was saying to Deb earlier. My group is an international group. It's not Kiwis weigh probably maybe a third of what's in that group, maybe. So I tend not to make any strong. In fact, I've kept it quite apolitical. When the first Trump-Hillary thing happened years ago, there were groups blowing up left, right, and centre. And so I found a wonderful post. It was by a thought leader called James Altucher, who writes from out of New York. And he wrote a beautiful post just about, diversity and thinking and acceptance. And so I posted that, and I made it very clear that this is a group where our common focus is our shared experience of midlife. So we talk about everything to do with midlife, relationships, menopause, well-being, empty nest, kids, finances, all of those things. And for all of these years, I can honestly, hand on heart, I think there's probably only been once, twice where I had to cut that and deal with the person. It's never happened because we've been so careful about it. In the same respect, and, I am a Christian, but I don't preach that. This is not a Christian group. But the ladies know I'm a Christian because I will still do a happy Christmas, happy Easter. But I haven't made it such a thing that it prevents people from wanting to be part of my group. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Unless
you really are so honed in on your customer avatar that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Yeah. And what you were alluding to before about the Amy Porterfields and of the world and stuff, they've just been very strategic. I tend to call that they've thrown stones at the industry. They've thrown rocks at the industry.
Yeah.
So they've picked a thing that annoys everyone about the industry or whatever, and they've thrown stones at it that people can and that's how you pull your people in who completely relate, who are completely zeroed in on, you've zeroed in on them, and your message has been so clear that it's pulled in all the right people for all the right reasons. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but I get what you mean. Like, don't talk about the war or religion, politics.
Yeah. Unless that's part of what your thing's about. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I've got women from, like I said, all around the world. I've got all faiths, all cultures, all ends of the political spectrum. I've got everything in there. So I just have to keep bringing it back to, well, this group is called Rocking Midlife. So they know who I am, but they're there because we're rocking midlife together. And so, and that's the core of it. And that's what you just really need to decide. What is the actual core, what is the meaning of your group? Because let's face it, we're all busy. You don't want a group for the heck of it. So you need to determine what it is and then be as destructive as you like within the parameters of what you're trying to achieve for your group. There's no yes or no. It's what's right for what you're trying to do. Yeah. Sorry, was that a good fence answer on the fence answer?
No, it wasn't. No, it was. It was a good answer. No, it's a good answer. I agree.
Thank you.
So, what else? Because you've done podcasts and stuff as well. So I'm quite curious to know, of the two, because they're both avenues for bringing people into your funnel. Which have you enjoyed the most and what's been the most successful? Was it the group, the Facebook group, or was it the podcast?
Gosh.
Without being a data nerd.
Which I'm not. I'm not. I've never had that question before. I've just got to think about it. That's a clever one, Deb. Well done. I just see that they're both different. The Facebook group has been a great lesson for me in being consistent and having to consistently turn up day after day after day. Whenever I didn't feel like it, when I was on holidays, whenever I'm sick, I've still turned up in that group. I can say, hand on my heart, I don't know if I've ever actually missed a day where I didn't check in. And so that's been a really good learning lesson. And I think that consistency is what kept people engaged after so many years. Because like I said, so many groups start with a big rage with an event or something, and then they sort of die down until they have the next big event. Mine's quite different, being a community group that's still going, still gets engagement. Sometimes it's a little quieter than others, but, it's a different type of thing. The podcast...
It's not even about consistency. It's not even about consistency necessarily. It's about energy. Like that is a lot of your personal energy going, consistently, right? And it's really... it's personal, it's one-to-one, and it's one-to-many. A podcast, you can actually batch them, and it's quite, at the time, it's quite introverted. It's a very personal conversation with just one other person. You know what I mean? And when it goes out there into the ether, you don't really know, real connection. So it is very different. Like, there's obviously, but with the group, there's a real energy exchange anyway, but you carry on.
Yeah, it is. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, the podcast, and don't get me wrong, podcasts can be quite labor intensive. I find that I'm quite exhausted after doing an interview because you're up and hey, and how are you? And da-da-da-da-da, the performance thing. And then at the end of it, oh my gosh, I've got to edit the frigging thing now. So,
you go live and
I've tried doing that, but because of being rural, my internet's just too scary. So that's why I've never just done the live thing. I've always thought, it's safer to record. And there's been a few times where I've had to cancel poor people. But they're different. They're different. I think at the end of the day, though, the group probably has my heart, like you said, because I've engaged with the people, and I've engaged with them not just once, like, oh, I love that episode. It's every week. Like, I got one lady in her 70s somewhere up in Brisbane who messaged me to let me know she was going in for surgery this week. So I just messaged her and just checked up on her and how you going and stuff like that, just little things like that. And it is energy and it's time. But wow, what a privilege that some lady would want me to know that about her. And I just see it as a privilege to serve. So of course I've learned, like I said, I've learned to be careful and just put boundaries around that. So I'm not just sitting there chatting to people all day, because that's not right either. But the time I do allocate it, I see it A as, I'm building my list, but B, I'm also serving and giving value to these people. So, I think if you can keep the business side, but also keep the service side of it, have a heart to what you're doing with your business, people see that. People will respond to that.
Don't lose the heart. Yep. No, that's really top advice. Absolutely. Hey, and I just quickly, because we will wrap it up soon. I've we've kept you long enough. But just from a musician point of view, have you ever introduced your music in the group? Like, have you ever done anything? You were talking earlier about.
I haven't in the group. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, put a little performance.
The funny thing is, I because when the first few years, because when we immigrated here from Australia many years ago, 24 years ago, I think. So I just worked as a muso professionally here for quite a number of years, just taking gigs and freelancing and stuff like that. It was those type of jobs, where you get the call, turn up, do the rehearsal, do the gig, get the check, and wait for the next call type thing. So I did that. And then when I started homeschooling the kids, it got to the point where I couldn't do the touring and the gigs because, you're getting home at 3:30 in the morning. So I stopped all of that. And then when I went and retrained as a personal trainer, I had to rechange my body clock because, I used to be this night owl doing gigs. So now I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym. And so I just sidelined the music. And it was only a couple of years ago when I joined professional speakers and I spoke at a couple of places and I did my own Rocking Midlife event. And I dusted off the sax and I took it out and I played it. And I actually teared up when I did the sound check because it was like, oh my gosh, that's right. And then I played it then again at my son's wedding a couple of years ago, just when they were cutting the cake. And so there were so many gym people there, my son's friends and their families. All these people have just known me as the mum at home or the PT or the what does she do now? She's always at home, the writer. None of them knew about my music side of it. And it was just the most amazing situation because I started playing and then I got a bit bored, so I just really went for it and just did the whole improv Kenny G type thing. And honestly, the faces, what the heck? Because they had no idea. It's just, I do need to do that. You're so right. I do need to do that. Challenge accepted.
Good on you. I'm just on the week, and I haven't done it online either. I have to say, there's something kind of nerve-wracking about that because you don't have that instant audience, feedback, and that is so important to performance. But same thing. I got up on stage on the weekend with my soul sister who's visiting from Wellington, and we were in a band together for over 6 years, and we just got jamming. We were just vocally jamming up here up north at the barn in Taipa, and a lot of people came up. Well, actually, there weren't heaps left, to be honest, at the end of the night, but said, "Oh, you dark horse! I didn't know you sang," and so it's amazing. We all have such such unique histories, don't we? Yeah. We've all done a lot of things. Many of us have done a lot of things,
especially when you get to midlife onwards. You've done a lot that people don't realise, and
absolutely,
and all of it. Yeah. Oh, I'd like to hear you sing. I need to see some stuff of yours. Thank you.
Well, I'll show you. I'll post something in the comments on the live. So just a question to finish up with then. And in what ways are you rocking the boat in your business and life right now? Just tell us a bit about what's going on for you where you're really rocking it, some area of your life you're rocking it right now.
Okay, this might sound random. No, there's two things. I'm an introvert, but I'm also an introvert that likes to put themselves in uncomfortable situations and quietly just push myself to do certain things. Like, suddenly announcing to my family after sitting at home and never lifting a weight that I was going to go to a personal training school. And by the way, my interview's tomorrow. That's literally what I did to the family. And then thankfully the New Zealand Institute of Sport took me.
Great.
So I do like to do things like that. So it's been an unusual year for me, as Deb knows. We're dealing with some quite chronic health issues in my family. So I've had to be quite hands-on with the family this year in a way that I haven't had to be for quite a while. The good part of the thing that it's shown me, though, is because I've pushed the envelope and started setting up some systems, which I've never been particularly great at, but I've actually made the investment, even though it's a bit of an ouch to have a VA working, I've still managed to keep doing things. So I'm en route to, I'd set myself a goal. I was going to publish 6 books in the first quarter of this year. Some of them I'm not writing all of them. Some of them I'm overseeing and publishing. It's the publishing side of it. And so I'm up to 12. And that was my goal. I was going to do over 6 because I published 6 books last year. So in the first quarter of this year, I was going to do 12. So even though I've been dealing with illness in the family, I've been quite on the down low. The systems that I've got in place and the things that I've put in place have enabled me to keep working towards goals. So I always have a goal. So now I've got to better that in the next quarter, which I'm finding quite a challenge already. But I've found setting goals that stretch you and never settling and never stopping learning. So I've told my husband, this might sound really weird, he built me this beautiful little office down the back of the property. So I've only been in here a couple of months, and it came out of lockdown when I couldn't work because there was a house full of people, and now they've all kept working from home. So he built me this beautiful little office, which is wonderful. I'm actually going to camp down here tonight because I'm going to jump on and do a workshop at 5 in the morning because I'm always doing things in the middle of the night. But this is one all about stocks and trading. Do I know anything about stocks and trading? Not a thing. But I've set myself a goal that it's something I'm going to learn about. So, and chances are it'll be another book down the track. But so I like to push the envelope with certain things because I love to keep learning and I don't want to ever settle. So that even if I am in a quiet patch, I'm not out and about much, I'm here on the home front, I'm still learning, I'm still pushing the envelope, I'm still doing things. So that's kind of, I don't know if that really answers.
Cool. You're not a boring person, Kat. That is for sure. You're not.
I just do it on the down low. That's all.
Sorry,
but back at you, girl living on a boat and doing all the things that you're doing. Like, hello.
A little against the average, against the grain. Love for sure. Hey, you mentioned that. Are you helping people publish books? Did you say?
No. At the moment, I'm publishing myself, but I have got a friend who does do that. If you've got folks that want to publish a book, I have a Kiwi girl here who is brilliant at hand helping. 2 people I know who can help your folks if they want to publish books. The good thing about a book, folks listening, again, your expert status, even if it's just your lead magnet. It's going to help you with your expert status because you do need to position yourself as an expert for people to want to come into your world and to learn from you and to use your services. So a book will help. And let me tell you now, even though it grates at me, and I know this will grate at you, Deb, but it's true, AI is making it a whole lot easier for people who aren't writers to be able to write books now. So it's something for you guys to think about. But I'm not using it personally to write books at the moment, but it is a tool that's helping a lot of people who aren't writers. So,
I'm sure it is. No, absolutely. Oh, look, it helps with your emails as well and things like that. I mean, I can write really long, rambly emails, and the amount of times that I've just popped that through AI and it's just spat out something that's a whole lot more succinct that people are definitely going to finish reading because it's not a novel. It's good. Definitely has its good points. Yeah, definitely. It'll never take away our creative ability.
No,
absolutely,
it won't. It won't. If anything, it's going to allow people to play more. People, like I said, who the thought of writing a book is too scary, but now they've got a way that they can, be helped through the process. Yeah,
exactly. Rather than just not go there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kat. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and I hope lots of people too. Because it's been great. We've learned a lot tonight, and I may well take you up on that offer to have you on again because it's been really cool chatting to you.
Really happy to. And if anyone has any questions, please post them. Let me know, and I'm happy to get on and answer those questions. And I'll give you that link to that PDF and everything later on too, so people can take that and
Thank you so much. Enjoy your night in the office.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm going to learn so much.
Like camping and great.
Thank you again, Deb. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And all the best to all you folks who are listening and who are building your businesses with Deb. You're in great hands. Do what this lady says and just embrace it. Keep learning. Keep dusting yourself off and keep going. You got this.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kat. See you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Bye now.